Hello and welcome to this video tutorial in Pro Tools looking at the edit tools. Okay, so the edit tools are these ones up at the top, so we'll just quickly go over them. So the first one is the zoom tool, so you're able to just click and that will zoom in. We will go over zooming in another video because there's quite a few different things you could do. If you hold down the mouse and drag, then you're able to zoom in again. And if you hold down the Alt key, you'll see it turn into a minus, hopefully. And if you just click, or again, drag, then that zooms us back out again. So if you're just wanting to do a quick sort of drag in on a section, that could be quite useful to do. I have to admit, since I started using a lot more shortcuts, I don't use it very often, but that's the tool it is. Now, one of the features you have here is you also have a single zoom. So what this does is, say that I'm on the grabber tool. I'll talk about the grabber tool in a bit, but I'm on the grabber tool and I move something. And then I just want to zoom in on this first section. Then I can, press onto that, hit the zoom key and that zooms me in, but it automatically jumps me back to the grabber tool. So this time when I zoom, watch up here. So I zoom, and it jumps back to the grabber tool. And this could be quite nice if you just want to do a quick zoom but then get on with what you were doing before. Then that's quite nice to do. I'm going to put it back to normal and let's just zoom out again. Oh, and let's put my track back where it should be. Okay, so the next tool is a trim tool. Now there's various different options. If you click and hold, you have a standard, a TCE, which is a time compression expansion, which is pretty cool. You can start time stretching things, but we're not looking at that today. And you can loop things as well. So the standard one is just a normal trim. Now if you go to the center, then it flips round, so it's either left or right. If you don't want it to do that, if you hold down the Alt key, it will stay well, it will sort of swap it around, so it's the right one now, but we can swap it. So you're able to just nice and quickly do that. I'll just make sure you can see it. Sorry, I'll zoom in. So it's on the right hand side, but if I want to change it to the left, I just hold down the Alt key and I'm able to do that. Okay, Command Z will undo for all those undos that you need to do if you're messing about like I am. Okay, the next tool is your select tool. Oh, by the way, I should say we'll go over these other things when we need them, but we don't need them at this moment. So the next one is your select tool. So here we can just go around and select things, and depending on your shuffle mode and grid mode that you saw in the previous video, it will determine whereabouts it is. And that's pretty much it for that. So you can drag over a small area or just over one, for example. The next one is a grabber tool, and you have three different options again. Really, you usually leave it on time, but sometimes go on to the separation one, so I'll show you that. I'm just going to zoom in on here. Like I said, I'll go over zoom modes another day. So if I want to move this region, I can just drag it around, but what I can also do is I could change it to separation. So if I selected this region here and go onto my separation tool, then this time when I click and drag, it will take that section out. If I put it back to the time version and I click in the same area, it just grabs the whole file, the whole clip region. So they're the two different ones that you use a lot of the time, and the other object is for other stuff that we're not going to use today. This top little bar here is what's called the Smart tool, and the Smart tool allows you to use all three at the same time, and actually adds in a new feature. So depending on where you are will depend on what tool you actually use. So if I move to the beginning and end, you can see that I've got the trim tool. So end, beginning. If I move to the top half, so above the center line, then it turns into the select tool. If I go below, it turns into the grabber tool. So you do find at first it can be a little bit annoying, and if you really not zoom, if you're using this sort of size, then it's too difficult to do, but when it's nice and big you can see it. But it is very useful. And another useful feature is the fade tool. So we can just click on here and we can fade the track out depending on what it is, and you can group things and do all at the same time. You don't have this feature normally. There isn't a fade tool, so the only way you can get it in here is via that way, or you have to go Command F and this brings in fades. So the easier way is to just do it like this, and you can grab it and bring it in. Okay, so let's just undo all of that again. There we go. So that's those tools. The next tool is what's called the Scribber tool. Let me just find the vocals because it's usually best to use on the vocal track. Just grab it there. Just zoom out so you can see it. Okay, so the Scrib tool does what it says on the tin. It scrubs through the audio so you can find if there's any particular peaks or a particular section you want. So depending on how fast you move it. So say you were trying to find a peak like that one, or if it was clipping, you could do that quickly. The other thing you can do as well is you can go backwards, which is always quite fun. Okay, the next tool is a draw tool, and within the waveform we can't actually do anything with it, but just on a little quick note, if we go to where it says waveform, we can bring up the volume for this, and this is sort of our automation that we can do. We'll cover automation in another video in the future, but basically now hopefully you can see my pencils turned into colour and I'm able to draw things in. One really cool feature, at least a funny feature, if you hold down the Alt key this time, it will turn into the rubber end and you can delete the various different points, which is quite cool. Let's just undo all of that though. So the pencil tool does allow you to do different things. You've got line tools, random, which is, well, random, and various different curves, etc. Sometimes you can't use them. It all depends on what data is in front of you, so you can't use the bottom two, the parabolic and the S-curve. They won't work in this. It will depend. Some of them are only for MIDI controllers. Again, let's just undo that. We'll go back to the freehand tools. So they're your tools that you have up here. As we'll cover zooming in another video as well. Okay, so edit tools, very, very useful, and you will find that you get very used to them. I should say that all of these are also on F keys as well, so you can, I think these are 1 to 4, and then from here it's 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9 I think for your smart tool. I have to admit I never use them because I have my F keys on my computer all set to different things, so I tend to just click on them. I usually find you've always got your mouse in your hand, so you could quickly go to them, but they are all shortcuts on the F keys if that's how you prefer to use them. Okay, so that's it for now. Until the next video.